But the thing is, though, they ignore the core. She can be pretty, but she can be rotten on the inside. But then they don't care because they're like, well, she's pretty. And your job as a man is to be Batman. And what I mean by that is be a detective. Your job is to figure out how she fits into your life. That's what your job is, right?
It's like putting a glove on, isn't it? You're just fitting into that glove.
So you have to ask some questions. You have to ask deep dive questions. I'm not saying right in the beginning, right away, but from the baseline conversations, you should be able to tell, okay, you know what? They're worth me maybe asking out on a date. You know what I mean? Like, you should at least have enough information to see if you want to progress it forward.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of guys get caught up, because they get more caught up in her looks, instead of being like, okay, why is this pretty girl never able to keep a relationship? As Anthea said, they can't hold on to a partner. You know what I mean? These are all things you got to look at. Does she have trauma? Has she dealt with her trauma? These are all things that you have to look at. If you don't look at them, you're signing your own death warrant. And I tell that for both guys and girls. You sign your own death warrant when you don't know what you're signing up for. Because a lot of people, and it's asinine, and I can openly say that, you'll go to the bank and you will read every single paper that the bank puts in front of you, so you know what you're signing, right? Or like when you sign for a house, or you sign for anything that has to do with life choices. But you won't do the same level of diligence with a partner?
Yeah. I think we're just not, I think it's never really been taught that way, has it? To do that. And actually, when you think about it now, it's like, wow, had we been taught that way, then so many more people would have had such an amazing relationship, because they found out before they started getting pregnant, before they decided to move in with one another, before all of that, if they're compatible or not. And I think there's a lot of good key points you just brought up there, like, you know, saying we take the time for stuff, that the paperwork, we will take the time to find out. That's important in our life. But one of the most important, that's an asset. And, you know, a human being is a human being. So that's going to be for life. That property you might sell, you know, that car, you might sell it. But that woman is not, she's not for sale like that, you know, she's your woman. So you want to have a long-term lasting relationship for as long as it can possibly go, until the end of your lives, rather than getting together with somebody and just going by looks, like you said, because a lot of men are visual. It's just the looks, and then then after that, what happens? You know, you need to go deeper, guys. You need to go deeper. You need to see it and start getting to know women first.
Exactly, and that's it. It's like, why do you think they call Batman the world's greatest detective? Because he does all his due diligence before he does anything, right? And it's the same thing with us when our dating partners. You have to make sure that you do all your due diligence, because you'll date someone and then you'll get into a relationship with them, and then you're like, well, I didn't know that they didn't want kids, or I didn't know that they didn't want this, or that they didn't want that.
Or they don't like getting on aeroplanes, or they don't like traveling, or they don't, you know, or they don't like being a passenger in a car. There's lots of things that.
But you didn't do your due diligence, so that's on you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is the thing. It's taking responsibility for what's happened in the past and acknowledging that and saying, right, what can I do different? Because if things haven't worked out, then you have to look at, what did I learn from those experiences, and how can I implement that moving forward in my relationship? And I think what we're speaking about right now for men is one of the first things you could do, like your choice, but obviously we'll recommend, is start vetting your woman, start finding out more about her, because then that way
self-awareness,
self-awareness, and you know, like then if the other relationships haven't worked out, it's because of that. One of the reasons, or probably the biggest the biggest reason. So now you can implement that into moving forward. So you do date better, and you do end up having a relationship that's going to be ongoing and last, if that's what you want.